Hi, gang. We are now full into the start of our um, fourth unit, and this is one of my favorites. We're going to talk about the Vikings. Super excited about this topic, mainly because you know my love of Thor and all things Asgardian. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of get some things into your brain about what's happening with the Vikings. At this point, I need you to pull out your notebook. I need you to make sure that you have access to your online notebook, and we will be working out of the fourth section or the fourth unit on the Vikings. So, if you are struggling with what that looks like, hopefully you've been using your humanities notebook. And if you haven't, this is definitely a time that you want to be working on that. You can see I'm pulling up my humanities notebook now for you to kind of notice. So we're going to go down here. I'm going to click on the Western Civilizations tab. I'm going to go down um, through the pages. I'm going to click on the Viking unit, and here I am in my Viking section. These are our notes from the Dark Ages, and we are going on to this section about the Vikings, and you can see that even I have some notes in here already started about what we're going to learn today. So make sure that you are definitely 100% um, having a copy of your notebook somewhere so that you have something to study from. We are definitely starting our new topic, which is all about Vikings, and they are definitely masters of the sea. And we're going to talk today, we're going to do an introduction as to who the Vikings are. So, um, at this time, you should know who both of these dudes are. The Roman Empire is dead. They have fallen apart. They are no longer there. And we had two guys who decided that they were going to come back and try and take things over. One, of course, is the Pope and his very best friend, Charlemagne. And these two guys, both of them 100% failed at trying to get us to get back the Holy Roman Empire. They looked like they were going in the right direction, but they're definitely 100% going to be encountered by a group of people that are going to be unstoppable. Um, both Charlemagne and the Pope are going to try and convert as many German tribes as they can. They're not going to be successful, mainly because they don't have the manpower. They don't have a group of people that's working together enough yet to make this work. And so the Roman Empire is going to fall apart. And the Vikings are actually one of just a series of German tribes that we've talked about. The Vikings are going to invade Europe from the north. Vikings are going to come from the northern part, those northern countries of Scandinavia. They are Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. You're definitely going to have to know those four. So make sure you get those into your notebook. So the Vikings are going to come south looking for things that you're going to guess that they're looking for. They're going to they're looking for warmer territory. They're where they were living, very cold. Did not like it, very, very cold. So they're looking for a warmer place to live. They're looking for a place to pillage. They did like stealing, that is for sure. And they're going to look for places that are going to be easily taken over. And they're going to find a lot in Europe, especially after Charlemagne goes in and tries to convert everybody to Christianity. So they're moving south because they want warmer conditions. They definitely want some place to pillage or kind of steal from. And the third reason that they're looking for a place to they're looking for a place to fight. It in Viking tradition and in Viking culture, it was believed that Vikings needed to die heroically in battle in order for them to get into heaven. So they needed to find places and people to battle against so that they could actually have a chance of getting into heaven. So the Vikings are going to travel south. They come from four countries: Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. And they're looking for those three different things. As they start to travel south, um, one of the things that they become very, very good at is creating this new system of transportation, these Viking long ships. They are amazing. They can be referred to as the long ship or the dragon ship, and they had some significant um, technology that they used in order to make these boats as phenomenal as they were. If we look here, we can see, these are the this is the southern part of Scandinavia. Here's Denmark, and these are all coastlines. And in order for them to kind of get across the English Channel and attack, uh, go across the Atlantic Ocean, they needed some sort of transportation. And boats were going to be it. I want to take a minute and watch this video produced by the History Channel discussing Viking longships. They're going to start with a clip from the um, History Channel production called Vikings, and then we're going to listen to some experts talk about Vikings and who they are and what they were able to accomplish.
Do you imagine ships are just dead things? We've been blown miles, of course. Who knows where we are? I joke about many things, but never about shipbuilding. My boat! And the gods love my boat!
This ship is like the symbol of the Viking Age. They've been advancing this technology at times when other people had not bothered. It's amazing to me that nobody else had boats anything like them or anything like this efficient. The boats the Franks had were left behind from Charlemagne's age. They were like hulks. They were unmaneuverable. The Saxons had no way of protecting the coastline or rivers from Vikings.
One fantastic thing about the Skullerød ships was that it represented 5 different ship types. Finding these fantastic Skullerød ships allowed us to build reconstructions, and then we could do experimental archaeology by building them and by sailing them. Let's look at some of the repairs.
Yeah, there is actually one right here. It's a bit difficult to see from the outside, but we can try it on this. Here you can see the plank. It's one plank put into another plank. There is a new overlap here, you can say, and that is exactly how we do our repairs.
I can tell which trees will make the best planks just by looking at them. I can look inside the tree. This is one. When you cleave a
plank out, you make it very strong because you follow the grain in the tree. And that's the problem with the saw. It will just cut straight, so it will cut all the fibers in the tree. And that's not only the planks, that's also all the curved pieces. You have to go into the forest, find the right piece of curve. You're not cutting over the fibers if you have the right shape on the piece. That's why it's so important for boat builders. If they find the right piece in the forest of an oak tree, you have to bring it home. The advantage of clinker build is that the two planks, when they overlap, then the overlap, it's a kind of a strength itself. It's not stiff. The result is flexibility. And if you think like in your modern head, you have to build strong and stiff, it will break when you're going into sea.
This means the boat won't butt against the waves like a goat, but move over them like a ripple. It's not as if we can experience exactly the same things at the Viking did, but you get an idea, and that is how we use experimental archaeology here at the Viking Ship Museum, because you go out and you get an impression of what is it like being on board of the ship, instead of sitting behind a desk and just reading about it. When I was on board as a crew member, I functioned as a midshipman, which means that I was located here in the middle of the ship, around the mast. What I experienced there was I tried to get an idea of the special conditions for being on board such a long and narrow ship as this is, crewed with 60 people. This is where you would have the helmsman and you would have the skipper or the captain in that sense. The crew seated here would work with the sheets, controlling the sheets of the sail. In the front of the ship, the very front, you would have the lookout, which has a very important function on the ship. If you can imagine 60 people here in this very long and narrow ship, and you would have a big square sail, and you would have the elements out there when you're sailing the ship, then it's basically impossible for the lookout here to shout all the way to the aft of the ship. Jump ship! And the way that it has been solved when we are sailing with the Sea Stallion is that we have used a middleman. This middleman needs to communicate the direct orders from the skipper and the helmsman, which need to be known by the whole crew, obviously. Sail down! The whole experience of being on board, being able to be part of that crew, trains you into becoming sort of a very coherent military unit. So my theory is that being on board these ships could be seen basically as a training camp. The ships are shaping the crew. It might be part of the success that the Viking has in their military operation.
So hopefully you were able to learn some stuff there about Viking boats. Later on, throughout this unit, we're actually going to use a lot of that information. We're going to ask you to create your own Viking boat. But hopefully you were able to kind of get a good understanding of what Viking boats look like and why they were so important. They were essential to what was happening in and around Scandinavia. And they just had so much power and they were able to do things that people could not possibly imagine. It was definitely a crazy, crazy time. And people were really able to use use these ships to travel to really far distances. Before we wrap up today, I want to watch a brief video about Viking families. I think it's pretty funny, and it's an opportunity for us to giggle a little bit. Please don't forget that starting tomorrow, on Tuesday, we will be opening up our Viking Warrior books and getting deep into understanding a little bit more about Vikings by using Judson Roberts' book, Viking Warrior. You will notice that in our Canvas course, there is a list of things that you need to be reading. And also, you've been given a bookmark that indicates what needs to be read when. Please make sure that you check out the information on what's happening this week on the calendar, located at the beginning of our Canvas pages, so that you can access that information and hopefully understand what's happening. Again, if you have questions or concerns, please make sure that you contact Mr. Herman or myself so that we can get information to you as quickly as possible. Let's finish off our day today with this video um, called uh, Historical Wife Swap.
Vicious Vikings! Welcome to Historical Wife Swap. This is Mr. Viking and his wife from Norway.
Don't crude, dear.
Sorry, love. Sorry.
And this week they'll be doing a wife swap with the Thralls, a family of slaves who live at the bottom of their garden. But how will these two very different classes of Norwegians get along? Mrs. Viking has left her house and husband behind and is about to meet Mr. Thrall.
You there.
Don't be alarmed. I'm just very ugly. I'm Mr. Thrall. You looking forward to being a thrall for the week?
Am I? Heck.
Come on, it'll be fun. I mean, normally to be a thrall, you have to be born a thrall. I'm an uneducated slave, so was my father and my grandfather before him. My kids will be slaves too, won't you, Blobnose?
Yeah.
Jump off the old block, eh?
Oh, what a horrible looking boy.
It's a go.
Things aren't going any better at Mr. Viking's house.
Hello, I'm Mr. Viking. Pleased to meet you. Actually, I'm not going to. So, what's your name? Sorry, I forgot. You slaves need permission to speak, don't you? Well, for the rest of this week, permission granted. We're going to live like my wife now, and she talks whenever she likes. Boy, do I know it.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Viking is getting her hands dirty as she helps Mr. Thrall with his daily chores.
Right, that must be enough. How long have I been digging for now?
About 3 minutes.
3? I haven't worked this hard since... whatever.
I've been working this hard since the age of 5. And it's not just mending fences and digging for peat. It's building walls, herding animals, grinding corn, and spreading pig muck.
It's dinner time at the Viking house.
Do I have to wear this all the time?
No, just while I'm eating. Finished. Oh,
So how did you and Mrs. Viking meet?
Snorridut here.
Pardon?
It's not Mrs. Viking, it's Mrs. Snorridut here. Viking women don't take their husbands' names.
Oh, right.
I was 15, she was 15. She was going through a very messy divorce.
You what?
Yeah, she dumped her first husband because he showed too much bare chest. And then my family paid her to marry me.
This Mrs. Snottyflopper sounds awful. She gets paid to get married. She can get divorced when she likes for the silliest of reasons. And she makes us thralls do all the work for her. I tell you, I would like to give her a piece of my mind. Providing she gave me permission to speak, of course. Being a thrall is really hard work. Apparently, Mr. Thrall and his wife have to do this stuff every day for free just because they're ordered to by some bossy, horrible old Viking hag with no manners. Hang on. He means me.
It's time for the Vikings and Thralls to sit down and see what they've learned over the last week.
If I'm honest, sir, I find your wife snobbish, arrogant, and lazy. But I must say she is quite a looker.
What? Well, your wife is fantastic at housework. She's a great cook. I mean, admittedly, she does look a little bit like rotting meat, but then at least she doesn't tell you what to do all the time.
Tell you what to do. I only take charge because you're always away killing monks or burning down villages. I mean, when was the last time you were around to dig up some peat or put up a fence?
Don't need to dig up peat or put up a fence because we have thralls for that, don't we?
Well, I don't need to cook or clean because we have thralls to do that too.
Yes. Good. So basically, what you're saying is things have
pretty good as they are when you think about it. Not for us, they're not. Permission to speak terminated.
Yeah, I agree. Back to the bottom of the garden, you two.
You know what? I forgot how ugly you are.
Oh, you see the loveliest things.
Come on.
Viking Warrior is based off of a book, off the story of a young man who starts his life as a thrall. And so it gives you a little bit of background as to what we're talking about. I hope that you are ready for our journey in through the Vikings, and we'll be talking soon. Bye.